Man, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, Devin Haney versus Mikey Garcia at 140 pounds. What y'all think? Devin Haney, I guess he always puts out little social media things, every once in a while, in order to get people talking. Pretty much is what they do. Devin Haney will put out a tweet, or he'll put out something on Twitter, whatever it is, on social media. Everybody will start talking about whatever it is that he said. Then his father will get onto different platforms and he'll start talking about whatever it is. He'll kind of be the mouthpiece. He's kind of like, he plays almost an Eddie Hearn part of the game when it comes to, I call it natural blueprint or the Eddie Hearn way of doing things, except no one in this side of the ball is really going to listen to anything Eddie Hearn has to say. So Bill's kind of used like a mouthpiece. Some people might not like people saying that, but to me, I always say I pay attention to the reality of boxing. I don't let the love of boxing cloud me to what's really going on. So I know they have a certain way of doing things. So he put this out, him versus Mikey Garcia at 140 pounds. The only problem with that is that, number one, your father has already come onto us, online and already said that you weren't ready for that fight. He said he's not ready for a Mikey Garcia fight. You know what I mean? And then people started having questions with him saying that, like, what do you mean he's not ready for a Mikey Garcia fight? He was just calling out Mikey Garcia because he had already called out Mikey Garcia. People don't remember, first he had called out Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner said, I want $10 million. They said, you're outpricing yourself, whatever. Supposedly he's, quote, outpricing himself. So Adrian Broner later on is like, all right, cool. You know what? Get in contact with my team. Let's negotiate. I'm sure we can come up with a price. Because Mikey Garcia had already just been on that platform, got paid $7 million fighting Jesse Vargas. Adrian Broner on his pay-per-view had a higher pay-per-view sales, and Adrian Broner consistently has higher viewership and has higher gates than Mikey Garcia on a regular basis. Not even close. Okay? So he has that. So I could see a $6-7 million. And the fact that Adrian Broner would be coming down to, he said he was willing to say, he said F140, I'm willing to come down to 135. But for whatever reason, they never tried to make that fight whatsoever. And they just started calling on other people, Mikey Garcia and all these other people. So he had to clean this up. It was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by, he's not ready for Mikey Garcia? Why is he calling out Mikey Garcia then? Then his father changed it, Bill changed it to, that Mikey Garcia is a $10 million fighter. So that they have to get themselves into a space where I guess, DAZN will pay Mikey that $10 million in order for him to fight Mikey. Like they have to get themselves to the level where a fight like that can happen because that's a $10 million fighter. So then the question becomes, why are you calling him out then? Like, what exactly have you done in these last couple of months or since you said that would put you into a space where DAZN's willing to give this man that $10 million? Because you yourself, you're saying this is a $10 million fighter. We're going to have to pay him that amount of money because he's going to look at other things. Mike is going to take on like a Danny Garcia or somebody, not Danny. He's looking at the Manny Pacquiao fights. He's looking at different things that he can do where he's going to make a substantial amount of money, $7 million and up. And his whole focus actually is to stay at 147 pounds. So for him to come back down from 147 to 135 or to 140, you're going to have to give him a reason to, financial reason to. So so if I could understand if Eddie Hearn and DAZN or whatever is willing to put up that money and invest in Devin Haney, then cool. Then I can understand you saying that, putting that out there into social media. But if you know that the logistics aren't there and people aren't willing to do what's necessary in order to put you into that space, you're just talking out of your tail then. You're basically kind of just full of ish. You're just talking for the sake of talking, just to keep your name in the social media, just to keep people talking about you. That's all you're doing. But you understand that everything that you're saying is there's no substance behind that. Because the foundation that's necessary in order to make that fight happen, according to you and your team, isn't there, hasn't been set. And even Mikey Garcia said, okay, yeah, he's calling me out, whatever. You talking in social media doesn't do anything. If they want to do a fight, contact my people and let's see, see what the numbers are at. If it's something that can be done. Because Mikey doesn't care. This guy who fought Errol Spence, he doesn't care if he fights Devin Haney or whoever. And just he's expecting a certain amount of money. His goal is to maximize financially every single fight that he does. He's not taking any shorts. He's not taking no short money. None at all. And he'll wait for the right fights in order to do those. He'll wait in order to make those kind of funds. That's how he's basically running his career. So Mikey's down to do it. So the thing is that, okay, so now is your team going to contact Mikey's people and get it done? Because Eddie Hearn is working directly with Mikey. And just like Mikey said, I'll be working directly with Eddie Hearn. He knows how to contact me. He knows how to contact my people. We just did a fight together. So if that's a fight they, quote, want to do, contact my people and let's see what the numbers at. Let's negotiate it and get it done then. They actually said it in an irritating type of way. So that's my only problem when it comes to this camp. Even from the Gary Russell situation, where, like I said from the beginning, I was like, the fight's not going to happen. And I laid down exactly why the fight wasn't going to happen. And it all had to do with the way Eddie Hearn runs his business and the way he flows. I'm not changing those ideas. A lot of people have changed their ideas when it pertains to Eddie Hearn just because it's Bill and because it's Devin Haney. They believe that somehow in that sphere right there is different from everything else that's going on, And I'm one of the ones in the minority. But, it is what it is. I'll put it out there. I got love for everybody. But when it comes to this situation, I don't see him any different than any other fighter that's on Eddie Hearn's roster. He's an Eddie Hearn fighter, and Eddie Hearn is going to use the same blueprint with him as he does everybody else. That's just what it is. Where they'll talk about fighting certain people, but when it actually comes down to it, because there are people who are like now, because other people have their plans too. Like, they have the plans with Tank. Ryan Garcia has his plans. Teofimo Lopez has his plans, and his team has their plans. So it's easy to say, haha, those guys are scared of me. Kind of like Terrence Crawford was able to do. But what I was looking for was the situation where people say, yes, let's do it. The Gary Russell situation and how that went down with that BS and how they played him. That's number one. And then when it came to the Adrian Broner situation, how they made no real effort to make that fight whatsoever. Somebody that supposedly needs fights so bad. Okay, the Fortuna situation where supposedly they had called out Fortuna and they wanted to step in for Fortuna even though they knew they had a fight set already with Gamboa, themselves. When the Linares got hurt and Fortuna and try to say that, try to act as if Fortuna was trying to duck him, which makes no sense because you're fighting in order to become the mandatory for Devin Haney. So why would he be ducking him? It makes absolutely no sense. And according to Fortuna's team, they made no effort to actually set up that fight. Which, now that Fortuna is the mandatory, it looks like the fight, Devin Haney's next fight should be with Fortuna, actually. That should be the next fight. And I believe that's how they wanted it. They wanted to do the Gamboa fight, and after doing the Gamboa fight, then move on to Fortuna, fight Fortuna, and then if they can get the Ryan Garcia, then fight Ryan Garcia, a fight they're not going to get. Move kind of like that. They have a plan, they have a blueprint when it pertains to him as well. And sometimes it might be hard for people to see it, but just like with the Terrence Crawford situation, when everything opened up at the end of the day, we saw what the reality was. And I was in the minority with that too, because I was calling that out way back in the day. Way back in the day. And I'm just calling it out with what I see when it comes to this situation. Are other people not willing to fight him? Absolutely yes, because they have their own plans, the different routes they're trying to take. But when it comes to him, don't get it twisted. Eddie Hearn has a plan for him too. Eddie Hearn is using his same blueprint when it pertains to him too. And that's why when it came to these particular guys who were like, okay, let's go do it, we saw the hiccups. Now when it comes to Mikey Garcia, we'll see if they step up if they give him the funds that he, according to you, it's going to be necessary to set that fight up. And if you set it up and do it. But ask me, I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think the next guy he's going to be fighting is Fortuna. And after that fight, we'll see where his career goes on from there. I'm looking forward to that Fortuna fight, though. Fortuna, game veteran, rough as hell, and I think it'll show a lot in that fight. I see Devin Haney winning that fight, but I think we're gonna see a lot as far as he's concerned. We're gonna see what he really has in that particular fight, and I'm looking forward to it. The fight that's actually gonna happen. But for now, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.